And do you want one or all of them to answer? All of them? Okay, go ahead. We need some, maybe you could just come over here, or if it, or just try number one there, maybe number one is working. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I greet each and every one of you and thank the Creator again for giving us another day. I'm also acknowledging the ancestors and the people of Treaty 1 whose territory that we gather. My question to the candidates is, after tomorrow, around this time, we will know who the new national chief-elect will be. And many of you have displayed and laid out a vision as to what it is you want to accomplish. And in that vision, I believe that there will be a 360 turn, 360-degree turn the day after. Why? Because one needs to know where all the funding comes from to keep AFN going. I know some of you have answered it, looking at other source revenues, but it's beyond that. The other question I have is, where is AFN and where will AFN be after tomorrow, Friday? I've heard a lot of hope and cheering from the crowd. I also heard a lot of pain, and I could feel it from those First Nations who are currently in a bout with the federal government because they are making a stand. All you candidates said we need to work together. I want to know if there is a commitment from AFN to support those nations that are currently dragged into the legal systems by the federal government. Why? Because in 1999, Saddle Lake was in a position where we didn't enter into an agreement as well. We called upon the AFN, who purported to speak on behalf of all people. We wanted their support and never got it. It was just a letter saying, here it is. That's not enough. More needs to be done. The time is now for us to challenge you as candidates to walk your talk. Now, I ask for a response to the two questions that I posed.
Thank you. We'll start with Leon, and then Carrie, and then Ghislain. Thank you. Okay, last comment.
I think I've said enough times. I suppose I'll be saying it for the rest of my life. That after tomorrow, if I get in as a national chief, it's not going to be business as usual with the government. If the chiefs, if the majority of the chiefs in this assembly feel that that is the way to go, 360 turn that you talked about, that's where I would go. And right the next day, it would be that fast. And the Prime Minister's office would be notified. And the world will know that that's what's going to happen. And the world will know. Because I believe that There's way too much suffering. I don't have to go down that road. All of us know and heard today all the pains of the youth and the leadership and our elders, all speaking about pain to the point of tears today. When a leader stands up and sheds tears over the senseless deaths of our future leaders, we all cry with him. We are all paralyzed. So it's not, so something drastic has to happen. It cannot be, oh, it'll be done in 2 years, anything of that nature. The Prime Minister, under my leadership, will be told the next day that business as usual for our people is not going to happen anymore. Mia.
Two good questions, I'll answer the second one first in terms of supporting our First Nations that make a stand, and we have to support them, with that illegal legislation, and we have to support them both politically and financially. And I make a point about developing a legal strategy, and I always ask the question, and I made a number of Supreme Court cases here. The Calder case, the Siwi case, the Sparrow case, the Guerin case, the Delgamuuk case, the Taku River case, the Mikisew Cree case, the William case, which deals with Aboriginal title. All Supreme Court decisions, but pretty good victories in some of these things for recognition of Aboriginal rights and title. How many of us helped support these Supreme Court decisions and these individual First Nations that went ahead to fight for us? Because we all speak about duty to consult and accommodate. How many of us were there to support Taku River and Mikisew Cree, financially and politically? Now we're all talking about Aboriginal rights and title and saying, yes, let's lift up Chief Roger William in the case that he won for 25 years. How many of us actually sent money? So now we've got to all work collectively together when we start talking about the legal strategy, legal fights. We have to support one another. What's the best case to take forward so we can legally fight together? Support it, because when they win, we all win. We have to look at that. We also have to look at independent sources of money. In Saskatchewan, we have a Treaty Rights Protection Fund funded from our gaming revenues. We don't rely on government money to fight government. We have to find our own alternative sources to fight government. That's where we need to look at. So supporting it, no question, we have to fight. First Nations that are standing up with a strong legal fight, both politically and financially, support is there. Where the AFN will be, it's going to be united. And there's going to be a more stronger resolve to get things done, for it to become relevant and responsive to meet the needs of our people. That's how I see it. So after tomorrow, we need to pull the circle back. Elections divide us, whether it be at the band level, tribal council, regional, national level. But as soon as it's done, bring the circle back together to put our energies together, because that's the only way we're going to make a difference in this country, by working collectively, strong, united, going forward. After the election, let's bring the circle back. And let's keep that vision to make a better hope for our children.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I want to thank Chiefs, Grand Chiefs, delegates, the Assembly for staying this long. It's been a long day. Very interesting one. Many questions, many concerns. I might be considered a little harsh in my response regarding the support for, those nations or chiefs or grand chiefs that have chosen to rely on the courts. A few, issues that come to mind, but to me it really calls on maybe finding a way to prevent the reality of us reacting after the fact. So to me that calls for that calls for certainly a political strategy in terms of how we address issues. And, you know, I guess I say this to ourselves, you know, regardless of the positions that we hold. What comes after tomorrow is, takes me back to, you know, the first time I got elected as a regional chief back in '92, and, you know, two candidates, I didn't make promises because to me it's very unfair to make promises when you have so little control over the political environment around you. And that's what we need to tackle. We need to ensure that we have the proper conditions. And again, I will state that you know, the opportunity may come with a federal election looming in the not too distant future. In terms of vision, I certainly have ideals as an individual First Nation member from my community, from my nation. But in trying to gain the confidence of the leadership in the country, I think calls for somewhat of a compromise. To me, it cannot only be my vision, because I'm called to serve the vision of others, which is your visions as leaders across the country. And that's where it becomes very, I don't know what the proper term would be, but maybe collective in terms of the process. And I was somewhat criticized for making that statement because it's really not an issue of really compromising yourself or your principles. It's really strictly finding a way to provide comfort to all of us so that everybody feel included in the process. Thank you.